Live from the Stream Center in Tampa, Florida, the home of News Channel 8, your official Bucs station. This is Bucs Bonus on WFLA Now, powered by 1-800-ASK-GARY.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 1-0, you guys. Huge win on the road. How the rookies came in clutch in the win over the Vikings. Baker Mayfield has that dog in him. And can this team carry over the success into week 2 when Justin Fields and the Bears come to town? We have all that and more right here, right now on Bucs Bonus. Oh my goodness. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Wow, look at the band is together.
It is us.
How about it?
Wait, so JB, you know, we shoved him aside.
Yes.
And we're gonna do it ourselves today. That's our rule.
And I don't know how long they're gonna keep me here, so hopefully a few weeks more, but we'll see.
No one let him out. No one let him out. We're not gonna let him back.
Yes. Bucs Insiders here. Dan Lucas, Karen Loftus. Let's talk about this win. Karen, you were there at US Bank Stadium. How was that atmosphere? I know the players all week long were talking about that was one of the challenges going into that game.
Yeah, for sure. So I can confirm it was a very loud atmosphere.
Yeah.
And I know, Aileen, you covered the Saints as well for several seasons. And I would always say nothing is louder than the Superdome, especially a playoff game.
Right.
And I tell you, during the intros, I was like, because the press box is open, so you're like in the second level, so you're pretty close to it. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so loud. I texted our sports videographer, Bob, and I said, it is so loud in here. Like if I had earplugs, I would have worn them in the press box with no shame. So it was so loud. I don't know how they communicated, and just like, like no pre-snap penalties, nothing. Like it was absolutely incredible that what they were able to do in such a loud environment.
Right. And speaking of which, penalties, they won that battle. If you take a look at the stats here, also
time.
Turnovers too. They won that battle. Baker Mayfield went 21 for 31, 173 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Dan, 0 interceptions. How do you think that he played last week?
Well, overall, first of all, I thought that this game was season altering. In one game, I thought the Bucs altered their season because I personally did not chalk it up as a victory. I'm still looking at the bye week as kind of the gauge, the litmus test, and I thought maybe they'd be 1-3, maybe 2-2. Everything has changed now to me because I didn't think this was going to be a victory. So I was proven wrong, and I know a lot of people were proven wrong in Vegas. Baker Mayfield played. I thought Baker would play very good, very well. He did. The thing that was great that I saw was decision-making, performing within the offense, not really much improvising. All the things that he's been criticized for over the years, he just ran the offense, and when he needed to, ran for yards, tough yards. As you know, the big play where he stiffs-armed the defensive back.
Crazy.
He just got the job done. And my thing for him now is, what do you do now? Everyone's patting you on the back. How do you take this and move forward? And he spoke after practice today. He sounded very, focused, down to earth, and we're going to move on. I love it. I think it's the best case scenario right now for Baker Mayfield and the growth of the offense.
Yeah, and the one thing Bowles said today that I'm doing a story on later is that he said Baker is a quarterback with an offensive lineman mentality.
Wow.
And what he means by that is like the physicality, not afraid to get in the mix, not afraid to take a hit, but smart about it.
Yeah.
And he said that's sort of the guy, it galvanizes the offensive lineman. And they see that, he's getting in there, he's playing tough, playing smart, which Dan, you said too, it's like making the right decisions. And the other thing that Baker said today was that, so the offensive line only gave up 1 sack in the game. It was early on in the game, and Baker actually said that was his fault. He's like, that was me, I should have gotten rid of the ball, gotten down, whatever. So you have that accountability too. So it's all of those things together that this was a very good, win for camaraderie and belief in each other and trust in each other and trust in Dave Canales too.
Yeah.
I think the relationship between Dave Canales and Baker Mayfield went leaps and bounds from where it was, and I thought it was positive to begin with. But Dave Canales had his own first half issues he had to get through. They really tweaked some things at halftime, and the game plan and the scheme came out and looked terrific in the second half. The first half, thank goodness for the Bucs defense, even though Jefferson gets his
he's going to
yards,
get his.
but it is what it is. I thought the Bucs defense controlled it inside the red zone, especially, and gave the offense a chance to come and win this game. And did we not say last week we were like, what's the story of this team? And we were like, this might be a year of defense for this team to hold the opponent 17 or under. 17 is always kind of a fair total. If they can do that, this team has a chance to not only win some games, but really start stacking them.
Right.
And the turnovers, 3 turnovers.
Yes.
So we talked about
0.
the defense said, the turnover margin, great. They want 30 takeaways this season. So after the game, I said to Shaq, and I was like, y'all did pretty good. I was like, so 3 down, 27 to go. And he was like, oh yeah, like most definitely, like we're on our way there.
I love that.
yeah.
Man, that's awesome. And the energy too. Like I really like the energy of this team, and just kind of all week long in preparing for the Vikings, it was just kind of like you almost felt the energy in that locker room. Like, we do not care about this outside noise. Like, we're going to play our best ball. And Dan, you and I were watching the game, and you even said Devin White is playing out of his mind right now. 12 tackles. Christian Izzian, let's highlight him. Antoine Winfield Jr., like you were saying, Karen, just a complete in full team effort. I mean, like it's exciting. I want to run through a brick wall watching them. I mean, it's good stuff. And you know who also called that win, guys? Super fan Buckified Bert. So let's hear from him. How about that?
Oh yeah, why not?
Hello, JB. This is Buckified Burke. Hey, look, I just want to let you know, there's a lot of people eating crow. I'm not one of them. And I think the rookies played really, really good. I give a big shout out to my main man, Baker Mayfield, the real deal. He took us to the promised land against the Minnesota Vikings. That's 1 down. We got 16 more to go. And I promise you, come Sunday at our house, there's no way the Bears would do us the way we did Minnesota. The rookies are ready. They got one full game of playing under their belt. Now I'm suffering a little bit because of my accuracy of my analytical prognostication. I'm starting to suffer a little bit from what they call sleep deprivation because I'm so accurate with my prediction. And I'm predicting the Bucs to take care of business come Sunday at Raymond James. I'm not going to really get no credit until after this game when we beat the Eagles. But just stay tuned. All right? This is Buckified Bert. I'm out.
First
Can
of
you
all,
say that word again?
Yeah.
Which one?
First of all, I'm glad he had the gloves so he didn't drop the phone. That was
Right.
excellent.
Crucial.
I never got Buckified Bert's season prediction, but I can guess that it was 17-0.
Oh yeah.
So so he's on his way. I mean, the guy is on.
Yeah.
I mean, he's on his way. I admitted that I was wrong on the outcome of this game, but I thought the Bucs were going to play well. The result might not show it, but I thought that they would learn, see something from this, and grow from this, and it was certainly going to lead to a victory against the Bears at home. But good for them.
I like his main man, Baker Mayfield, his main man.
His
I
main
tell
man.
you, I
Besties.
think Baker won over a lot of fans who were
Agreed.
like maybe unsure, whatever. But the way he played, I'm telling you.
Well,
Yeah.
and you mentioned Devin White, his play the other day. He was everywhere he needed to be, which he's kind of the Baker on defense. And he, some of the things he's been criticized for in the past, he plays so fast that he doesn't play smart fast. He's more react and emotional, and sometimes he was caught completely out of position. But not the other day. He was everywhere he needed to be within the realm and the role of his role on every single play on the defense, in coverage, rushing, gaps. It was just an piece of art from Devin White. I was really impressed with him, and I will issue him the same notice I have Baker. Now, let's see what you do with everybody going, great job, because that it's hard to get it going every week. But these guys are pros. I'm confident that both Baker and Devin White, if those two guys on each side of the football are doing that, they're in for a good season. And very happy for Devin White, especially, what was it, day 2 of training camp?
Right.
The Bucs put him out there, and it was kind of a surprise because of there was kind of ill feelings we were told through the off season, and the Bucs will not put a guy out there who's in the middle of an issue of any kind, and they did. And I thought that was telling to me. I'm like, well, maybe the air is pretty clear, and this guy can focus and concentrate. He had a very good camp, and then he comes in the game 1 and does what we saw.
Right.
It's terrific. I'm very happy for Devin White.
Yeah.
He even said ahead of game 1, he's like, somebody asked him, like, what's different this year?
Right.
He said, I'm all ball.
Yeah.
And I don't know how he treated it before,
Yeah.
but that's what he said. He said, this year I'm all ball, nothing else.
And there was like an energy shift like throughout camp, right? Like it was kind of awkward, and right, coaches weren't even like talking about the situation prior in the off season, and then
Right.
like one day, I forget what day it was like snap of the finger, changed.
A conversation was had, and
Right.
everything, a conversation involving the correct people, his agents, Jason Light, probably
Yeah.
Todd Bowles, and everybody at least left that conversation knowing what they're doing moving forward, which is all you can ask.
Yeah.
In that situation. Devin White, I thought, oh boy, first of all, is he going to show up? Yeah. And then is he going to be kind of, kind of a downer about it? No, the opposite.
Yeah.
He's been terrific. He's a leader.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
It's
like
great.
To see it.
It's great. I hope he keeps it up. And
Yeah.
Antoine Winfield is my other hero of the day.
Yeah, I think
on defense.
I'm going to read off his stats here and tell me if you guys, this sounds correct to you. Touchdown saving tackle, 8 tackles, a sack, forced fumble, a pass defense, 2 QB hurries, a fumble recovery. I mean, a Swiss Army knife, right? What is another word here? The deadly blitzer.
Where'd that one come from? Was that from you?
I read it from an article.
Okay.
I won't take credit for that. But yeah, this defense is really, really exciting, and I'm excited to see what they do against the Bears. Speaking of which, let's talk about it. What needs to happen for the Bucs to be 2-0 on Monday after Sunday?
Defense.
And
Defense. I'll say it every week.
3 more
Defense.
turnovers.
Defense.
3 more
Defense.
27.
Yeah. This is a
24 to go after.
this is a different ball of wax here. This is discipline, and you're not only the gap on your run game discipline, but monitoring what Justin Fields is capable of. He sparks the run game. He leads the run game. I think he was the leading rusher for the Bears the other day. In addition to having a pretty decent day passing, although they were trailing much of the game, so he had to throw. But he is an absolute game changer, and gives nightmares to defensive coordinators. So this will be different. Last week you were worried about an elite premier wide receiver and a very good veteran quarterback who can find him. They found a way to really, I guess, shut down that offense for the most part. Now this is different. This is different. So it's going to be a little bit of a different game, but I still think the pressure that Todd Bowles brought last week, we see this week.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a lot of consistency too. And that's one of the things that Todd Bowles was saying today, like as far as taking steps forward, it's like, okay, we have a good baseline, and like just work on consistency in all 3 phases of the game. There were bright spots across the board, but then you still had that slow start. So that's another thing. It's like offensively, I'm trying to think of who said it in the locker room today, but somebody was speaking on just pointing out that they need to get out to a faster start. You can't have, 6 drives without any points.
Yeah.
And 1 first down.
Yeah.
I think a guy who's got a little bit of pressure on him in this game is Rachaad White.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
Why
He
is
was
that?
disappointed in his game Sunday. Maybe that's putting a little bit on himself because the offense wasn't working at a time when they were trying to feature him. But I think he's got to show something, and Sean Tucker's, putting a little pressure on him as well. So I think Rachaad White, look for him to do something this week because the run game was so effective in that little sample we had in the preseason.
Yeah.
It was a little disappointing to not see it come to fruition in week 1. Those guys, Cody Mauch, Luke Gedeke on the right side, they were opening up massive holes in the preseason. And now you're facing the ones on every play. So I know it's not always possible, but
Right.
get the run game going a little bit. I think that would be the first goal.
And Tristan said that I asked him about like, what do you want to improve? I asked him that today, and he said he spoke to that. He's like making the holes a little bit bigger for our guys running the ball and hold our blocks and make a way for that run game. But I think Rashad got some tough yards. Like some physicality, a couple yards, you know, and he still has that. The thing that I like about him is his like patience,
right?
Like he like reads it, and there were a couple there where he like waited it out, waited to see the block, and I think his time will come because they even said they're like, we want to run the ball, that's a priority, but we're also going to take what the game presents,
right?
And they ended up having success throwing the ball. So it's like, okay, let's stick with that.
Yeah.
And eventually they found Mike Evans, which I was a little bit concerned for a while. It was 3 targets for Kieft. And then, finally Evans, who had a big catch on his touchdown drive, and those were his first 2 catches of the game, and he wound up being the leading receiver for the Bucs.
Do you think 10 targets is enough for him in a game, or you think it should be more or less? Because I know at first it was a slow start.
I think 10 I think 10's fair. I think because I think you got your 2 main weapons. I think you need to divvy the bulk to those guys. It's quite clear that Baker has a great rapport with Chris Godwin, and it doesn't mean he doesn't have a good relationship with Evans. He's just got to find him a little bit more as option 1, which I would presume is many plays. Yeah. But what he's got going with Chris Godwin right now, I mean, that 3rd and 10 to seal the game, that was a great play call, but it was pure trust.
And also, so it's funny you mentioned that because Baker was pointing out today, I think he really does like the way Chris Godwin plays. Like him getting in there and blocking and just being in the mix. Right. And that's what he said. He's like, everybody saw the catch and that's going to be the headline. But he's like, nobody saw all the grit and stuff that he was playing, just being physical the whole game leading up to that.
Yeah. Well, I think player for the defense, Bucs defense to watch, DJ Moore, right? Traded him in the offseason. And he was with the Panthers, so he knows the Bucs very well. I think that's a guy that the Bucs defense needs to watch out for. Thoughts on that? Thoughts on players, things to kind of watch if you're the Bucs?
Yeah, I think, he knows the scheme. I mean, that's the one thing that's similar that anyone would coming back to face the Bucs would know. But they are way more aggressive, at least through one game, than I can recall last year. They had games where the defense would rise and put the Bucs over the hump or keep the Bucs in it, but this was from the get-go, and it never let up. I kept waiting for the Bucs offense to put the game away. I was not worried about the defense losing it. As a matter of fact, if they don't convert that first down at the end and have to punt, I can't remember where they were on the field if they would try another long field goal, but I was confident they were going to shut the Vikings down and win anyways.
Yeah. I don't know. I saw Baker on the sideline. The Bucs posted that he was mic'd up for the game. Did you all watch that video yet?
Yes.
It was
we saw the clip, the famous clip a lot of people have seen where he tells the guy to put on weight.
Oh, yeah, get your weight up.
Get your weight up.
Yeah, but Baker was saying he was running up and down the sidelines. He's like, we're ending this game with the ball. Like 4 minutes left, we're ending this game with the ball.
Yeah.
So he wasn't letting the defense, even if the defense would have held, he wasn't letting, it was in his hands. He was handling the business.
He definitely wanted to do his part.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I think you hit the nail on the head. He won a lot of people over.
I did. I mean, did he win you guys over? I feel like he won me over. Like his attitude, his grit, it was everything you want to see.
I was a Baker guy from the first day he walked in the door, and the first thing I sensed, I wanted to watch how he walked to the podium on day one. This was a guy who knew the situation. We all say, oh, he's humble, he's this. He knew the situation when he walked in that door. He's coming here. There's 2 parts. There's a team that he chose, that he believes in, even with a new offensive coordinator that can still be relevant and competitive and get into the postseason. And then there's, where can I go to resurrect my career and be treated and paid like a true starting quarterback? Taking a 1-year deal, humble pie. He won me over that day. And he definitely won a lot of people over Sunday with playing within the offense. Yep. That's all you got to do.
Yeah. Okay. Injury report came out. I'm going to read it off my phone here.
Yep.
Carlton Davis, toe, did not participate. Christian Isian, concussion, did not participate. Elijah Cansey, calf, did not participate. Baker Mayfield, the right shoulder, full participation,
Interesting.
though.
That was interesting.
Thoughts, guys? You were at practice today?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not really surprised by the shoulder thing. Like, we just spent the first part of the show talking about his physicality.
Right.
But yeah, he, as you read off, it's full participation. But yeah, poor Christian Izien. Like, he had such a good game, but he took a pretty big hit there at the end of his interception.
And I was not at practice today, but according to Bob Hansen, sports videographer extraordinaire, Robert, did spot Izien working with the athletic training staff off to the side. So I would have to imagine that's part of the protocol. He might feel fine, but that we're not going to know that until later in the week when he passes all the tests. I'm presuming it was on that Justin Jefferson hit.
Yeah.
The kind of the blind side.
Yeah, we were talking about it, and I was like,
On the
when you guys said
interception.
that, I was like, okay, I do remember that, but
He
I
did
don't
get
remember
popped
if there
pretty
was
hard
another
on
one.
that. And I even said it. I kind of
Justin's
said it.
helmet came off on that.
Yeah, I said it jokingly in the office when we were watching the game. I'm like, head on a swivel, young man. And he did not see that hit coming. If he did, then I mean, that was a pop.
Yeah.
And Jefferson's helmet comes off, and lucky he's not in the protocol.
Right.
I mean, it was a violent collision for sure.
Was. I'm a little bit concerned with Kalijah on that list, though, and not participating. What do we do if he's not ready for week one? What do you do if you're the coaching staff? How much of a detriment is that to the team?
I mean, at this point, you make darn sure he is as close to 100% as he can be before you put him out there again. I think that's a lesson learned.
Yeah.
I look at he missed all these practices, right? Well, he still came out and made an impact play right from the start.
Right.
Yeah.
But the soft tissue stuff, calves, hamstrings, those are suckers, man. They creep up, they never go away. And I guess he explained it as felt tightness. There wasn't a pop
exactly.
or
That's
a
what Bowles said
pull.
today.
He did limp a little bit in what we were able to see when he was dressed in a shirt and shorts after the moment up in Minnesota. But I don't anticipate him being out for a while. But I would not. If he comes out Friday and says, "No, I feel good," I would think twice.
I mean, first of all, you hope he's okay. Like,
Yes.
Right.
I mean, just
First things first.
yeah. Like, hopefully, it ends up being like nothing major, and it's like, okay, if you need another week of rest.
Maybe they caught it.
I was thinking about this. I was looking at my notes from the game of like when he left, and I have it down as like, beginning of the third quarter is when he was ruled out. So play the first half for all intents and purposes. He might have gone out at the end of the first half.
Right.
But all of the Bucs takeaways were 3 takeaways in the first half when he was in the game. I don't think that's a coincidence.
I
the
don't
pressure
either.
that him and Vita can
I
get,
agree.
just the repercussions on the back
I agree.
end.
Yeah.
Everything. Like, I don't think it's a coincidence.
I don't know if this is a legitimate question, but do you almost like save him from the Bears game and then play him against the Eagles, or do you just play him if he's ready to go? What do you do?
I think you play him if he's ready to go. I mean, they drafted him for a reason. He's an asset.
Right.
So, but you have to protect the long term.
Right.
And now they have they've accumulated information. Now he went through this process, this rehab or recovery during the training camp. They got him to the starting line, and he couldn't play a full game.
Yeah.
So now you have to reassess, and that's why I always err on the side of caution, particularly on muscles, because you can feel good, and all of a sudden one wacky step or something in a game, and you're just right back to where you were.
Or not being fully hydrated. I mean, all of the things. Not a doctor. But speaking from my own.
She does play one on TV.
Observe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of the things.
Well, I think this Bears team is a very beatable team, right? They're coming off a frustrating loss to the Packers. Justin Fields needing to kind of step up. I think this is the Bucs game to win. I think Justin Fields has to play perfect. I think Baker has to play good.
I would say that's fair. I agree. First of all, the Bears got thumped by Green Bay, who came in with a massive question mark at the quarterback position. And Green Bay's defense, for the most part, dictated that game early on. So, like I said, if you're scheming against the source of that running game, and that's Fields himself, if he gets out, he's going to get out. This, Lamar Jackson. I'm not saying they're the same guy, but Lamar Jackson tortured this defense last year. Tortured them when they changed their scheme at halftime. The Bucs had a very good first half against Baltimore. Second half, it was over, thanks to Lamar Jackson running all over them. So you can run on this defense if you get out and people break contain and guys like Devin White aren't disciplined. It is doable, but I see the Bucs defense coming to take care of it.
Yeah, I'm big on like demonstrated ability, and I think that goes a long way for players' confidence.
Yes.
And when you talk about what they were able to do in that hostile environment, so loud.
Yes.
And the lack of penalties
Yes.
in that situation, it's like, okay, we did that in one of the toughest environments. We played disciplined football. We had very few mental errors. And just underscore that, okay, we did that in a very tough environment. Now we're coming where the crowd is on our side. This is our turf. We know the lay of the land.
Yes.
And I think that's going to go a long way if they can look at it with that perspective.
I truly an impressive win.
Yeah.
Honestly, truly an impressive win. Also dawned on me, 57-yard field goal. 57-yard field goal.
No big deal.
Oh my
Casual.
God. When you were watching that in real time, Karen, what was going through your mind?
I was like, I think it's going to make it. I think it's going to make it. It went through.
Oh my goodness.
I go back to
was-
before the kick when they were jogging out there, and I go, they're doing what?
Yeah.
So they're where on the field?
And you're going to give the Vikings the ball where?
Who? Where?
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh.
Kudos
He
to
did that.
And then everybody, like-
Todd Bowles for having faith and Chase McLaughlin with room to spare
Yeah.
making that kick. I think that matched his career high. I tried to look it up.
I think I saw the Bucs.
he had a 57-yarder
tweeted
earlier
that.
in his
That
career.
could have been 60. I mean, that
Oh
would
yeah,
have
easily beyond 60. But hey, you know what? Can we say congrats to Todd Bowles, by the way, for showing us,
Applaud.
get the thing. Yeah, there
There it
go.
is.
Crowd
Wow.
cheering.
Wow.
Well done.
He deserves
I was hoping that was the right one.
a ton of credit, in my opinion, for going not out of character, but out of character a little bit, for going on 4th and 1
There were a couple.
on your own 32, a
That one.
57-yard field goal attempt,
Yeah.
and then 3rd and 10 coming out of a timeout, which is the 2-minute warning, and then throwing, allowing that play to happen. Man, he said Monday when we sat down with him, he goes, well, we're going out there to win. And we were on a roll. I'm saying we came here to win. And I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this one. I have this starred on
Oh,
my note.
man.
That starred the 4th and 1
Wait,
at
show
the
us.
30
Show
at the
us, Karen.
32.
Just point it to the
Right.
camera.
You
Look
guys
at
don't
that.
want to see my
right
like,
there,
scribbling
baby.
notes.
Great notes.
Love it.
Good note
I
taker.
can read them, and that's what
Yes.
matters.
That's all that matters.
Yes.
Oh man.
But Todd Bowles, well done. And
yeah.
yeah, so and trusting Dave Canales. And the other thing I asked him, I go, what happened at halftime? When you were talking
Yes.
about the offense, and he said, well, there was a fair discussion and changes were made, and he was so happy for Dave Canales and wanted to make sure he gave him a lot of credit because, like you guys said, that environment. You're standing there. We all look at him. He's got the card, and he's trying to communicate. Baker's got his hands over here trying to hear him. That is difficult to do. And
Right.
you can say whatever you want. I've called this many plays, that many plays, and rehearsals until you're on the stage under the lights. You don't know how you're going to react.
No.
And Dave Canales gets a lot of credit.
Yeah, I think if you're a Bucs fan, like you're starting off in a really good spot, and you should feel good about this Bucs team. I mean, everything was clicking. I don't know if you could ask for a more, a better way to kick off season. No pun intended. But do we have that on here? But
We'll look for that one.
Here, I'll do an applause for that.
Okay.
Is that a mom joke?
That's a good one.
Dad joke?
So while we're doing this, while we've kidnapped JB and we've shoved him away, and you have all the toys now.
This
you
is
do whatever
it.
you want.
This is it. I'm like,
He's
should
gonna
I just
hear
start
about
pressing
this.
random buttons and see what happens?
Yes, he's gonna hear
if
about
he's
this.
listening right now, he's
Yes.
got major anxiety.
Right. Shh, go, JB, stay in there. That's what we'll do.
man,
We're
no.
pushing buttons, man.
We're just having a good time over here. Okay. Well, speaking of time, it's coming to an end.
Okay.
But before we go, Mike Williams, we lost a good one, gone too soon. 36 years old, passed away this week. Our prayers go out to him and his family. Condolences. Dan, you got a chance to cover him, kind of get to know him. What kind of energy did he bring to not just the field, but just in everyday life?
Well, he was a fun guy. I've said this a lot. He was a fun guy. When you heard laughter in the locker room, it was usually coming from Mike Williams' locker. He came at a time, was drafted 2010. Raheem Morris was the head coach. The Bucs won 10 games that year and missed the playoffs on the very last week of the season because I believe the Packers won their game to eliminate the Bucs. So it was a feel-good time, and Williams had a big part of that. He had 11 touchdown catches and had the world in front of him. He ended up, unfortunately, it was injuries marred him a little bit. He wound up being traded to Buffalo after 4 years here, which was actually a homecoming for him. I was very excited for him. I wished his career could have been extended there. But heck of a football player, funny guy. Will Golston said last week, Will Golston, Levante David, the two current Bucs who played with Mike Williams, Golston said, he was very helpful to me as a rookie when Will Golston was a rookie. So willing to reach out and talk to the young guys. Yeah. Can I give you one Mike Williams story?
Please. Yeah. Please. We have a little bit of time.
We're in the locker on Wednesday. We're at his locker, and Williams was known as a bit of a trash talker on the field, but they were getting ready to play the Saints. And the question was, who's the biggest trash talker in the league? And they were trying to think of Saints players. And what Mike Williams goes, oh, easy, Sean Payton, head coach. Really? What do you mean Sean Payton? He goes, that guy never shuts up.
Oh,
he goes,
my goodness.
Well, give me an example. So he goes, so we're lined up at midfield, and I have to go right in front of the Saints bench. And I jog over to my position for the snap. And Sean Payton's waiting on the sideline, and he's got his headset on, and he goes, well, Mike Williams. And he goes, this is the route you're probably going to run. And he names the route, whatever it was. And then the follow-up question is, well, so what was the route? And Williams says, it's exactly what he said it was going to be. And he said, so this was the back-and-forth banter that we rarely hear about in the games, but an example of Mike Williams is kind of a carefree, he loved football, so he loved Sean Payton for that moment. And I hope that, I haven't had a chance to hear from too many guys back then. Gerald McCoy was really hit by that, by his passing. Mm-hmm. But I know Raheem Morris out in Los Angeles and guys are really talking and texting and just sharing their thoughts. It's very sad.
Yeah, it is sad. Thank you for sharing that. An amazing, puts it in perspective of what kind of guy he was. Our friend Casey Sloan, she posted an article this week. Here we go. Bucs stun national media week 1. We love
Sticking it to the national media. Wow.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm thinking I'm going with Bert's prediction here at 2-0. I'm thinking 2-0. Karen? Win or loss?
Win.
Oh yeah,
I didn't know we were picking.
We already know.
I didn't know we were doing picks.
You and I are the optimism queens, though, Dan.
This is a win. This is a win. I don't see how the Bucs lose this game on Sunday, but we've seen crazy things happen. But
this is true. There's no gimme games in this league.
I think that I think they're focused. I think that win in Minnesota, like I said at the beginning, it's one game. But it has altered everything, that one game, based on the way the result happened and the result they took out of there. What a way to start.
Yeah.
It was terrific.
I agree. Well, thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Dan, Karen. I'll see you in the sports office in a few minutes. Thank you guys for listening. Hopefully you join us next week. We're here every single Wednesday, 4 o'clock, bring you all the coverage. We're going to bring you all the coverage, too, on Sunday, your official Buck station, Channel 8, WFLA. We're here. Hope to see you guys next week. Thanks for watching. Bye.